Rachel Zegler has never been shy about speaking her truth, but her latest revelation has left many stunned. In a candid conversation with Allure, the 23-year-old actress described the bewildering, and, to many, infuriating, experience she faced while auditioning for the role that would change her life. When she was in the running to play Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, she says that white executives kept calling to question whether she was truly of Latin heritage. "There's confusion because I don't have a single ounce of Latin in my name," she recalled. "They kept asking if I was legit. I remember thinking, do you want me to bring my abuelita into the studio? I will." The image of a young actress having to parade her grandmother into an office just to be taken seriously speaks volumes about the industry's flaws. For Zegler, this wasn't just a frustrating roadblock, it was an early wake-up call about how Hollywood still struggles with diversity and representation, even when telling stories about those very communities. Her name, her face, and her talent should have been enough, but instead she found herself having to prove something deeply personal, her identity. This wasn't just a casting note. It was an identity test, and it's one that left a lasting impression on her as both an artist and a person. Zegler's background tells a story all its own. Born in Hackensack, New Jersey, to a Colombian mother and a Polish father, her heritage is woven into her upbringing. Her grandmother emigrated from Barranquilla, Colombia, to the United States in the 1960s, building a life that would eventually allow her granddaughter to chase a career in the arts. These roots, rich and complex, were part of what made her perfect for the role of Maria, yet still, she had to convince decision-makers of their authenticity. In the end, it wasn't paperwork or family introductions that landed her the role, it was her voice. Zegler's singing ability was undeniable, and when she finally stepped into the part, she delivered a performance that earned her a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. That win not only cemented her place in Hollywood but also proved that talent, when given a fair chance, can transcend bias. Still, she hasn't forgotten how close she came to being dismissed over something as absurd as the letters in her last name. The success of West Side Story opened the door to one of the most high-profile casting announcements of Zegler's career, being chosen as Disney's live-action Snow White. It was a leap from a gritty musical drama to a fantasy fairytale remake, and it marked her transition from rising star to household name. But it also came with its own unique pressures. The role wasn't just another job, it was the embodiment of one of Disney's most iconic characters. And for Zegler, the timing couldn't have been more symbolic. Just as she was beginning to carve her place in Hollywood, she was now stepping into a part that generations of children had grown up watching. Her casting in Snow White became a talking point worldwide. For Disney, it was a statement of inclusivity. For Zegler, it was a validation that her identity, her voice, and her artistry could not only win over Spielberg but also anchor one of the studio's most expensive and cherished properties. In her interview, Zegler didn't just stop at recounting the past, she also voiced her hopes for the future. "My only prayer for the future of diversity and inclusion," she said, "is that we invest in and nurture talent no matter what they look like." It was a pointed reminder that talent pipelines in Hollywood are often influenced by preconceived ideas of what a performer should look like, rather than by the performer's ability. She emphasized the importance of creating stories where diverse voices are not just welcomed but sought out, where cultural authenticity isn't treated with suspicion, and where roles are filled based on skill rather than stereotype. For Zegler, it's not just about her own career, it's about opening doors for the next generation so they don't have to answer the same questions she did. Talking about Snow White, Zegler shared that she sees the film as more than just a story of good versus evil, it's a lesson in how power can be used. Snow White chooses kindness and still makes change, she explained. Power takes many forms. I hope we'll see a new dawn of kindness and acceptance in the next couple of years. It's a philosophy that contrasts sharply with the anger she says often fuels division in today's world. Her interpretation of the character is deliberate, a heroine who doesn't need to wield aggression to create impact. Instead, Snow White's strength comes from empathy, patience, and resilience, traits that Zegler hopes will resonate with younger audiences, especially those navigating an increasingly polarized society. But as much as Zegler has championed kindness, her time in the spotlight hasn't been free from controversy. From early in the Snow White promotional cycle, she faced criticism for calling the 1937 animated version dated, a comment that some took as a slight against the original. That statement, coupled with her advocacy for a modernized Snow White who is not going to be saved by the prince, sparked intense debates online. The backlash intensified when her political views entered the picture. Zegler made headlines again after going on a social media rant aimed at those who voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. The post, which some saw as unnecessarily divisive, fueled mass boycott calls for the film and further polarized audiences who were already skeptical about the remake. Despite the uproar, Zegler remained steadfast in her convictions. She continues to post candidly on social media, support causes she believes in, and speak openly about her identity and values. For her, the lesson in all of this is not to shy away from the uncomfortable conversations, whether about representation in casting rooms or the cultural changes in storytelling. While she acknowledges that backlash is part of being a public figure, she's made it clear that she won't let fear dictate her career choices. In her own words, she hopes that by staying authentic, she can encourage others to do the same. Whether people agree with her or not, Rachel Zegler's journey from a young actress asked to prove her heritage to a Golden Globe-winning Disney princess proves that her presence in Hollywood is anything but accidental.